If I could have gone back and spoken to myself as I was starting my period of 10 years of training and therapy around what it really means to be successful and happy and aligned as an HSP, this is what I would have said to myself. Probably the greatest thing that stands out for me that I was doing to myself back then was actually just how mean I was being towards myself. And I have to say that, yes, as HSPs, we do struggle with some of the challenges of the trait, and that makes sense. It makes sense that we struggle with the overwhelm, the emotional reactivity, and being different. I understand that. If we focus on those things, we're missing the benefits. That's for, there's loads of videos that you can check out about the benefits of being an HSP. But we really give ourselves way too much of a hard time, and much of the time we don't actually realize we're doing that. So to give you an example, all of those years ago, I was in constant self-rejection and running scripts around rejecting myself in ways that I really wasn't aware of, and it was causing me so much pain and difficulty. So let me give you an example of what I mean by this. So many of us come from a lineage of shaming, all right? So in other words, not good enough, there's something wrong with us. And that sometimes has nothing to do with being an HSP. It's just something that our parents suffered with and that passed down to us, and we didn't know that was happening. They didn't know they were doing it to us. Their parents probably didn't even know that they were doing it to their children. It's a lineage of shaming. That is something that is one area that we have to be aware of. So in other words, those words of shaming, of not being good enough, there's something wrong with you, you need to hide who you are, you're never going to be successful, those kind of messaging and scripts that we're running plays one part in the agony that we cause ourselves, right? So even though we were given those messagings when we were younger, just say hello to Sequoia here. Even though we were running those scripts and we had no choice as a child when we were doing that, we have a choice as an adult to stop running those scripts, and we have the opportunity to stop that cycle of shame that's happening. So that's one area, and that was a big area for me. I was definitely running those scripts, and that was a part of how I was being so mean to myself. But then this other area that is really important to be aware of is the scripts that we run about being different and trying to fit in and being certain or insisting that because we're an HSP, we can't live a normal life, we can't be successful, we can't attain what we want to achieve in our lives because of the difficulties that we carry. We have to be aware of what we're actually doing to ourselves and these scripts that we're running, right? So if I could go back in time and I could have a conversation with myself, what I would make myself aware of is that all of the thought processes and the negative self-view that I'm running is messing with me energetically far more than I realize, right? So the difference of where I was back then and where I am right now is that I am grounded in my body and I am present in the moment, and I am in a place of self-regard self-love and self-curiosity. I'm fascinated by who I am and what I am, as we all should be, because we are a channel, right? We're a moment-to-moment channel of expression. We're source avatars. So my invitation here is to recognize that much of the struggle that you're experiencing is because of how you're treating yourself. It's not because of the challenges of the trait. The challenges of the trait can be managed in many ways. What's causing you so much pain is how you're talking to yourself, how you're regarding yourself, and the scripts that you've been given that you're running. So the shaming scripts is one area that needs to be addressed. We need to get support, we need to get therapy around that. We need to stop believing the bullshit that we were told when we were children that was handed down to us in the lineage of the shaming that has been happening throughout generations. We need to understand that that's nothing to do with us. Let me say that to you. The scripts that you're running that are saying that you're not good enough, that there's something wrong with you, are nothing to do with you. They're just programs that have been given to you. So that's one area that needs addressing, all right? The other area that needs addressing is that because you're different as an HSP, because you are processing the world more differently, in a different way, you're processing the world more deeply, you are experiencing greater emotional reactivity. In other words, you have a rich inner emotional experience that's happening. If you are in rejection of that and deciding that you shouldn't be that person and you should be someone else or you should be fitting in, that is being really mean to yourself. And that again is it's a processing, it's a mind exercise that you're projecting onto yourself that is causing a great deal of pain and difficulty for you. And what we have to be aware of is the power that our minds have over our state. So if we think that the state that we're really trying to achieve is a place of peace and a place of joy, a place of belonging. Now, much of the time we're not feeling those states because of how much we're messing with ourselves, because of how much we are insisting that something we've been told about ourselves is actually the case, when that is truly not what is happening. So during my decade of therapy and processing and decade of therapy and training, I was able to understand that the truth of who I am is a joyful, peaceful state of natural belonging. It is a feeling of knowing in terms of who I am, what I'm here to do, and how I just naturally fit into the world. So through the process of just owning that and allowing that truth of who I am to be, I've gradually learned to let go of all the bullshit that I was given, and also all the bullshit that I insist is the problem. In other words, being different, the fact that I am processing so deeply, the fact that I am feeling everything so deeply. So before, I was in rejection of all of that. And I was also in rejection or not owning just how profound my ability is to process more deeply. And I was also not owning the calling that was always in my heart to want to utilize that, to train other people, to facilitate purpose in people. I have a natural ability to be able to read truth of purpose in someone else. I've always had that ability. But I wasn't owning that, and I wasn't allowing that to come to the forefront. Because I was constantly in this mindset of rejection and this mindset of there's something wrong. So my invitation for you is to become aware of this torrent of self-bitterness and self-rejection that you may well be running to notice the thought processes. So to notice when you're sitting trying to get something done, or you want to make progress in something, just to notice what you're actually doing in your mind and how much you're hijacking your knowing and your truth. Because once we become aware of the fact that it just isn't ours, that it doesn't actually come from us, it's learned responses, we can learn to let go of them. And what that then allows us to do is start to find a place of grounding, to find that state of truth and peace and belonging, which is our natural God-given right to be in that place, and to learn to trust that, and to learn to follow that, and to learn to explore that, and to get curious and interested about what it is that really matters to you, and what you deeply care about. I don't care how spiritual that is or how energetic that is. You're here for a very specific purpose as an HSP. You are here to see things differently. You are here to care more deeply. You're here to lead in terms of your thinking and in terms of your service in a very particular area of life, what I call your mighty, which is MITY, most important to you. If you allow yourself to really own that and embrace that, it will guide you literally day by day into the life that you'd really love to lead. And that will allow you to shift into a place of ownership and a place of natural state in terms of the truth of who you are. And therein lies the peace, and therein lies the balance and the feeling of belonging and the joy that we can have on a moment-to-moment basis, rather than being in this constant conversation of I'm not good enough, there's something wrong with me, I hate being an HSP. That just does not get us anywhere, but it's a choice that we are personally making. Nobody is doing that to us. I hope this is helpful. If I could have told myself some of this when I was younger, it would have been a breakthrough for me. You know, if I could have just stopped myself and sat myself down and just say, stop what you're doing. And actually it makes sense to me now why my own mentor would get so frustrated with me, because I refused to let go of this, of these scripts and these false self-beliefs that I was running for way too long. So please don't do that. Please don't make the mistake that I did and feed the beliefs that are actually causing you so much pain and keeping you stuck. You don't need to do that. And you know the thought processes I'm talking about. They're the ones that hurt. They're the ones that make you feel like shit. They're the ones that you can become aware of, and you can ask yourself, is this actually mine? Is this in alignment with what I really care about? How am I actually treating myself right now? Can I move into a place of self-love and acceptance and curiosity and an embrace of the magic and beauty of what it means to be an HSP? Yes, you can.